Picture this: a man stands at the edge of a vast abyss, staring into the unknown. Behind him, a city glows in artificial light, safe, predictable, comfortable. Before him, the abyss beckons, a void of uncertainty, danger, and the terrifying weight of freedom. He hesitates. He has spent his life seeking comfort, security, and ease, yet something within him stirs, an unrelenting whisper that tells him he was meant for more. Now ask yourself, which man are you? This is not merely a metaphor. It is the choice that defines every human being, every civilization, every age. Friedrich Nietzsche foresaw this struggle over a century ago. He warned of two types of people: the Übermensch, overman, who transcends limitations, and the last man, who succumbs to complacency. One represents the peak of human potential, the other its inevitable decay. But here's the paradox. The modern world rewards the last man. Society promises comfort in exchange for surrender. Trade your ambition for convenience, trade your independence for security, trade your soul for entertainment. Everything around you, technology, politics, culture, whispers the same lullaby. Sleep, obey, conform. There is nothing left to strive for. And yet, deep down, something resists. Some people, despite the seductions of ease, feel an unexplainable dissatisfaction. They sense the walls of the invisible prison around them. They dream of becoming more, but the world tells them it's dangerous, foolish, even immoral. So here is the question that must be answered. Are we doomed to become the last man, or can we rise above? And if we can, what does it take to break free? Let's begin. The struggle between the Übermensch and the last man is not just a philosophical idea, it is an ancient war waged within the human psyche. To understand its origins, we must descend into the depths of psychology, philosophy, and the mechanisms that shape human behavior. The birth of the last man, fear, comfort, and the death of aspiration. The last man is not born weak. He is made. Imagine a child, full of raw energy, curiosity, and boundless potential. At first, he runs toward challenges, eager to test himself. But soon, he learns a painful truth. Struggle is punished. Comfort is rewarded. In school, questioning authority leads to punishment. Obedience leads to praise. In society, risk is dangerous. Predictability is safe. In relationships, raw authenticity is unsettling. Politeness and conformity are preferred. The last man is the product of a civilization that has made comfort its highest god. Nietzsche saw this coming, an age where people would reject struggle, risk, and ambition in favor of shallow pleasures. He wrote, "Alas, the time is coming when man will no longer launch his arrow of longing beyond man, and the string of his bow will have unlearned to whiz." This is the last man. He does not suffer because he does not strive. He does not fail because he does not dare. His only goal? To be safe, entertained, and comfortable. He is everywhere in modern society. He scrolls endlessly through social media, numbing himself with distractions. He avoids confrontation, avoids difficulty, avoids pain, mistaking ease for happiness. He seeks nothing beyond the moment, and worst of all, he believes he is free. But deep down, he feels a gnawing emptiness, because there is something ancient within him, something he cannot silence. The calling of the Übermensch, the instinct to become more. There is another force within the human soul, one far older, far more dangerous. Carl Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming a fully realized self. Nietzsche called it the will to power, the force that drives us to overcome ourselves. It is the instinct that built civilizations, conquered fears, and reached for the impossible. Unlike the last man, the Übermensch does not seek comfort. He seeks transcendence. He does not avoid pain. He uses it. He does not shrink from suffering. He embraces it as the price of becoming something greater. The Übermensch destroys illusions. He does not accept the values imposed upon him. He creates his own. He understands that the world is not given, but made. The great truths of life, power, meaning, purpose, are not handed down from a divine authority, but forged through fire and struggle. Nietzsche warned, "The individual has always had to struggle to keep from being overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." This is what the modern world does not want you to understand. You are not meant to be passive. You are meant to be something greater than what society expects of you. But the path is difficult. It is a war against your own weaknesses, your own fears, your own illusions. Why most people will never become the Übermensch. Here is the hard truth. Most people do not want to be free. True freedom is terrifying. It means there is no one to blame, no excuses to hide behind. It means taking full responsibility for your existence. Every failure, every weakness, every missed opportunity. The last man avoids this at all costs. He would rather be comfortable in a cage than free in the wild. Aldous Huxley saw this clearly. In Brave New World, he envisioned a society where people were given every pleasure imaginable: sex, entertainment, drugs, yet were utterly enslaved without realizing it. They did not fight their oppressors because their oppressors made them love their servitude. Nietzsche's last man is this same figure, a person who chooses slavery disguised as security, who does not fight because he has been convinced there is nothing left worth fighting for. But the Übermensch knows there is no greater tragedy than a life unlived. He chooses the difficult path because he knows it is the only one worth walking. And so the battle continues. Every day, in every moment, you stand at the edge of the abyss. Will you turn back toward comfort, security, and numbness? Or will you leap into the unknown, into the fire, into your own power? The next section will reveal just how deeply this struggle shapes our world and why the stakes have never been higher. Look around you. The struggle between the Übermensch and the last man is not an abstract idea. It is happening everywhere, in real time, shaping our world, our societies, and our individual lives. The age of the last man. A civilization in decline. Nietzsche's prophecy has come true. The modern world has embraced the ideology of the last man, a system that rewards mediocrity and punishes ambition, a culture that tells you there is nothing left to strive for, that history has ended, that progress means making life as easy as possible. And the results? Decay, stagnation, a silent collapse of the human spirit. Look at the symptoms. A culture of comfort, overgrowth. Society sells comfort as the ultimate achievement. Every inconvenience is seen as a problem to be eliminated. Hardship is no longer viewed as the furnace of strength, but as a failure of the system. We have abandoned the idea that struggle leads to greatness. The death of personal responsibility. The last man rejects accountability. If he fails, it is because of society, because of others, because of forces beyond his control. He does not seek to overcome, he seeks to blame. A numb, distracted population, entertainment, social media, endless distractions, these are the last man's opiates. He fills his mind with meaningless noise to avoid the terrifying silence of deep thought. He scrolls, he consumes, he obeys. And all the while, his potential rots away. This is the last man's world. A world where the hunger for greatness is ridiculed, where ambition is called toxic, where suffering is seen not as a path to growth, but as a failure of the system to provide enough comfort. But not everyone is asleep. The fire of the Übermensch, those who refuse to submit. Despite the overwhelming tide of complacency, there are still those who resist. Those who feel a deep dissatisfaction with the hollow promises of modernity. Those who refuse to kneel. These are the individuals who reject the path of the last man. They sense the artificiality of modern existence, the invisible chains disguised as freedom. They refuse to let their souls be numbed by mindless pleasures and manufactured happiness. The Übermensch chooses struggle over ease. He understands that to evolve, he must suffer, face hardship, and push beyond what is comfortable. He does not seek comfort, he seeks growth. He creates his own values. The Übermensch does not wait for society to give him purpose. He carves his own meaning into the world, imposing his will upon reality itself. He embraces solitude, knowing it is the birthplace of strength. In a world that demands constant validation and connection, he walks alone when necessary. He is self-sufficient, independent, and unshakable. This fire, this unyielding spirit, is the only force that can prevent the total collapse of human potential. Because here's the truth: a world ruled by the last man cannot survive. The last man's civilization will crumble. History shows us what happens when the last man takes control. Civilizations that embrace decadence, that prioritize comfort over strength, that mock ambition and reward complacency, they fall. Ancient Rome fell not because of external enemies, but because of internal decay. As the empire grew rich, its people grew weak. Discipline and hardship gave way to excess and indulgence. The same people who once conquered the known world became soft, entitled, and unwilling to fight for their survival. The Soviet Union collapsed under the weight of its own stagnation. A system that sought to create an artificial utopia where no one suffered, where everyone was equal, where the struggle of the individual was erased, ended in disaster. Why? Because it denied the most fundamental law of existence. Struggle breeds strength. The last man seeks to eliminate struggle, to build a world where no one suffers, where everything is safe, where no one feels the burden of ambition or failure. But in doing so, he destroys the very forces that keep civilization alive. The Übermensch understands that struggle is not the enemy. It is the lifeblood of greatness. You are living at the crossroads. This is not just history. This is your life. This struggle is happening right now, in you. Every decision you make is a step toward one of two futures. Do you embrace challenge, responsibility, and the fire of ambition? Or do you retreat into comfort, distraction, and the illusion of safety? The world will not force you to rise. In fact, it will do everything in its power to keep you asleep. But the path of the Übermensch is not for the many. It is for the few who choose to see, who choose to awaken. And those who awaken can never go back. The next section will show you how to break free, how to step beyond the last man's world and begin the transformation into something greater. The world is designed to keep you asleep. It whispers to you, relax. Everything is fine. Don't question. Don't strive. Stay entertained. Stay comfortable. And that is exactly how the last man is created, not through force, but through seduction. If you want to break free, you must first see the trap for what it is. Step 1. Recognize the prison. Most people never realize they are in chains because the walls of their prison are invisible. Society has conditioned them to fear freedom and crave comfort. Comfort is not happiness. We have been taught that a stress-free, easy life is the goal. But true fulfillment comes from challenge, from the act of overcoming, from pushing beyond limits. Comfort is not pleasure. It is sedation. Entertainment is not meaning. Endless distractions, social media, video games, television are not bad in themselves, but they become a problem when they replace real achievement, when they steal your time, when they keep you passive instead of active. Safety is not power. The last man fears risk. He wants a world without danger, without uncertainty. But power only comes to those willing to risk failure, rejection, and even suffering. You cannot begin your transformation until you see these lies for what they are. The world is not trying to make you strong. It is trying to keep you obedient. Step 2. Embrace hardship as the path to power. Here is the truth society does not want you to understand. The greatest version of yourself is forged in struggle. Nietzsche knew this. He wrote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." But modern culture has twisted this into an empty cliché, stripped of its real meaning. This is not about shallow optimism. It is about the fundamental law of life. You cannot become strong without suffering. Every great artist, philosopher, and leader has endured loneliness, failure, and ridicule. Every warrior has faced pain, fear, and loss. Every thinker has wrestled with doubt, despair, and existential dread. But instead of running from these things, the Übermensch embraces them. He understands that pain is the price of transformation. He does not seek suffering for its own sake, but he accepts it as the necessary toll of growth. This is the difference between the Übermensch and the last man. The last man avoids pain, and so he remains weak. The Übermensch faces pain, and so he becomes powerful. Step 3. Build your own values. The Übermensch is not just someone who works hard. He is not just someone who endures suffering. He is someone who creates. Nietzsche's ultimate message was that you must become the architect of your own existence. The last man accepts the values given to him. The Übermensch creates his own values. This means questioning everything. What does success actually mean to you? What do you truly desire beyond what society has told you to want? What principles do you live by, even when no one is watching? Most people never ask these questions. They live on autopilot, following whatever the world tells them. But the Übermensch chooses his own path, his own rules, his own purpose. And here is the most important part. He takes responsibility for that choice. If he succeeds, he owns it. If he fails, he owns it. No excuses, no blaming others, no waiting for permission. This is the true power of the Übermensch. Not just strength, not just ambition, but the courage to define his own reality. Step 4. Kill the last man within you. The battle between the Übermensch and the last man is not just external, it is inside you. There is a part of you that wants to stay asleep, a part that craves comfort, distraction, and the illusion of safety. A voice that whispers, "Stay where you are. It's fine. You don't need to change. You don't need to strive." To become the Übermensch, you must kill that voice. When fear tells you to hesitate, act anyway. When comfort tells you to rest, push forward. When the world tells you to conform, rebel. The last man is weak not because he lacks ability, but because he refuses to act. The Übermensch acts regardless of fear, regardless of uncertainty, regardless of the cost. Step 5. Walk the path alone. Most people will not understand your transformation. They will mock you, resent you, try to pull you back down, because your very existence threatens them. If you rise above mediocrity, you expose the mediocrity in others. If you reject comfort, you make those who depend on it uncomfortable. If you embrace struggle, you remind others of what they are avoiding. Do not expect validation. Do not expect applause. The path of the Übermensch is a lonely one, but it is the only path that leads to true greatness. Nietzsche wrote, "You must be ready to burn yourself in your own flame." How could you become new if you had not first become ashes? To become something more, you must let the old self die. The moment of decision. Now the choice is yours. You can ignore this. Close this video. Return to the comfortable, easy life of the last man. Or you can decide right now to break free. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Now the next section will reveal the final, ultimate truth that will forever change the way you see yourself in the world. Are you ready? There is one truth that, once understood, changes everything. You are alone. Not in the shallow, pessimistic sense. Not in the way the weak use loneliness as an excuse for despair. No. This is something far deeper, something far more profound. You are alone in the sense that no one is coming to save you. No government will hand you freedom. No mentor will unlock your potential. No movement, no philosophy, no external force will lift you up unless you take the first step yourself. The last man avoids this realization at all costs. He clings to institutions, ideologies, and the comforting illusion that someone else is in control. He needs to believe that the world is looking out for him, that he will be taken care of, that he doesn't need to carve his own destiny. But the Übermensch embraces his aloneness. He does not fear it, he wields it. He understands that his life, his purpose, his meaning is his responsibility alone. This is the ultimate revelation. The world does not give you meaning. You give meaning to the world. The death of God and the birth of the Übermensch. Nietzsche's most famous proclamation was "God is dead." But this was not a celebration, it was a warning. He saw that when traditional belief systems collapsed, people would become directionless, lost, weak. Without something external to guide them, they would collapse into nihilism, drifting through life without meaning. And this is exactly what has happened. The modern world has no gods, no higher purpose, no sacred ideals. In place of them, we have distractions, entertainment, consumerism, a world designed to keep you comfortable, numb, and empty. But Nietzsche did not stop at "God is dead." He offered a solution. Man is something that shall be overcome. If the old gods are gone, we must become gods ourselves. Not in a shallow, egotistical sense, but in the sense that we must become the creators of our own meaning, our own destiny, our own values. This is the calling of the Übermensch, to become the master of his own existence. How the Übermensch sees the world differently. Once you embrace this truth, everything changes. Fear becomes fuel. Instead of paralyzing you, fear sharpens your instincts. You move forward despite it. Pain becomes transformation. You no longer see suffering as something to be avoided, but as something to be mastered. Loneliness becomes power. You no longer need validation, approval, or permission. You stand alone, and that is enough. Struggle becomes purpose. Life is not meant to be easy. It is meant to be conquered. This is what sets the Übermensch apart from the last man. The last man sees the world as something to be endured, The Übermensch sees the world as something to be shaped, the price of becoming more. Do not mistake this for an easy path. To become the Übermensch, you must be willing to pay the price. You will lose people. Those who remain asleep will resent your awakening. Friends, family, even lovers may drift away. You will face resistance. Society does not celebrate those who think for themselves. It tries to pull them back into conformity. You will suffer. But suffering is no longer your enemy. It is your teacher. The weak will tell you this is foolish, that life should be easy, that struggle is unnecessary. They are wrong. The greatest figures in history did not seek comfort. They sought greatness. Alexander the Great, Leonardo da Vinci, Marcus Aurelius, Tesla, Nietzsche himself. These were not men who played by the rules of the last man. They rejected the world as it was and built their own. The final choice. Are you ready to step beyond? This is where your journey begins. You can close this video and return to your old life. Forget what was said here. Pretend that nothing needs to change. Pretend that your life is good enough as it is. Or you can step beyond. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more obeying the whispers of the last man inside you. The time for theory is over. The time for action is now. The fire within. There is a fire inside you. It has always been there waiting. The world has tried to extinguish it. Society has tried to smother it with distractions, comfort, and fear, but it is still burning. And the only question left is, will you let it consume you? Or will you rise from the flames, reborn, unshackled, unstoppable? Decide now.